Good evening, and thanks so much for tuning in for our another stay-at-home, shelter-in-place edition of Mid-American Gardener. I'm your host, Tanisha Spain, and if this is your first time joining us, this is us taking our show out of the studio, since we can't be there, and into your homes just a different way. We had to get creative because it is time to start growing, and that show doesn't stop. So appreciate our panelists for making the adjustments to join us via the web. So let's have them introduce themselves and tell you a little bit about their specialty, what they're into. So Kelly, we'll start with you.
Thank you very much. My name is Kelly Alsop, and I am a horticulture educator for University of Illinois Extension, and I am based out of Bloomington. I love answering questions about insects, integrated pest management, the pollinators, the beneficial insects. So far, my expertise on the show has really been houseplants and pulling some of my greenhouse management experience into the show.
Wonderful. You have to adapt, right?
Of course.
All right, Ella.
I'm Ella Maxwell, and I work at Hare Nursery in Peoria. I'm also a master gardener, and my specialty might be perennials and shrubs and trees, landscaping.
Oh, darn it. She got glitchy on us. Oh, Ella, now she's frozen. Okay. Well, we'll come back to Ella. Hopefully we can get her unfrozen. There we go. Gotcha. You're back. You're back.
All right. I'm back. Yay. Okay.
Okay. So if you're watching, send us some questions. You've got two of the best and brightest on the line here. So send us your questions and let us know what you need. We do have a few to start out with that folks wrote in. So first is a voicemail question that came in, and Ella, we're going to have you answer this one. So let's take a listen to that question that came in on the line. Maybe.
Hello, this is Mike in Danville, Illinois. And my question is regarding what you're hearing about transplants for vegetables, whether they'll be available because of all the COVID-19 virus. Thank you.
Okay, so Ella, what are your thoughts on that? Oh no, she's frozen.
Okay, again. Bill. I can't figure out why this isn't working.
Maybe it's just a delay.
It might be a delay.
Okay.
Well, I think I'm there now.
Yes, you're here.
Mike, the good thing is that the Illinois Commerce Commission said that nurseries and garden centers were essential businesses as of May 1st. So everyone has opened. Many of the growers are up in Michigan, and they were planning for a long season, and there's plenty of material out there and available. And most of the garden centers have transplants. We're growing plant material. We have pretty much everything available, and trucks are coming in from
She's probably getting new shipments.
Ella, we keep losing you.
I don't know why.
And then every time you come right back right on the tail end of it. So, but all that to say, people are able to go in. I've seen a lot of advertisements of folks saying, just wear your mask and, practice social distancing, and they'll be allowing folks to come in and shop.
And it's the same with the box stores. They have their material too. All of the hardware stores have material. It's out there. It's spring.
Great. Okay. All right. And Kelly, you had a show and tell of sorts that you wanted to talk about as well.
Yes, I am part of an I Pollinate citizen science program, and it is a way for researchers to get information from citizens because they could never do this all on their own. And so what they're asking people to do is to start an I Pollinate garden. And so you're going to choose 6 kinds of 12 of the most common annuals like zinnias and sweet alyssum and geraniums. And then you're going to plant 3 swamp milkweed, And then the third week of June, July, August, and September, you submit your pollinator observations. You make 3-minute observations for each plant. You also record the caterpillars that are on the milkweeds, and then take images of any bumblebees or honeybees you see and upload those to the Bee Spotter program. So it's a really cool way to get involved. Everybody asks, why are we doing these annuals? It's because sometimes it's hard to grow a native garden, and sometimes people look at them as not the prettiest. So we're actually looking to make recommendations of some of the more available annuals and how they contribute to pollinator health. So it's a really cool way. You're going to go out and buy annuals this year, buy some of these, and make these observations. I don't know if I've ever looked at a flower for 3 minutes straight before, but it was really fun and a great learning experience. And you want to learn more about the program, there's lots of resources and webinars on ipollinate.illinois.edu.
Okay. And, it could be a good family activity, because I don't imagine many of us are going to be taking big trips this summer. So that could be a nice family thing to do.
It would be an amazing family activity.
Okay. We've had a couple of Facebook questions roll in, so let's get to those. Let's see. Larry and Mary Hebert want to know if grass seed in big bags stay good for long, or should you have to buy new every year if you have to fill in some patchy areas? So can grass seed go bad on you, ladies?
Grass seed can go bad, but will it go bad enough to make a big difference for as much seed as you throw out there? But all bags are required to have germination percentages and the testing dates for that, and exactly what's in the bag. And of course, most people buy new seed. The new seed has the highest germination rate.
Darn it. Okay. We'll keep trying.
So if it's a little older, you might have to put a little bit more seed on there to make sure you get the germination
that you're looking for the filling in. Okay. All right. Ben Anderson writes in, I am a Zone 5 New Yorker. Indoors, I'm growing green pepper and tomatoes from seed. We put 2 to 3 seeds in each pod to germinate. In some of the seeds, they didn't sprout. They all sprouted now and have 2 to 3 plants coming out of each pod. The instructions on the pod said to choose the strong grower and cut the rest down. Is that correct? Or do I make the call? Or how do I make the call? Which one is the one to keep? So he sent in a picture. I don't know if we're able to pull that up, but it's one of those growing pods that folks have, the indoor ones. So when you're thinning them out, when do you thin out your seedlings? At what point?
Well, I definitely would choose the strongest seedling, and I wouldn't pull the other one out. I would actually cut it out with a pair of scissors so you don't, pull on the roots. Mm-hmm. It's what I used to do all the time when I was a greenhouse grower. We always did 2 seeds per hole just to make sure we got, a consistent germination, and then we'd pinch out the weaker ones.
So taller, is taller necessarily better? Do how do you choose which is the strongest one?
Maybe the one growing the straightest, the one that has the most leaves, the one that seems the sturdiest.
Okay. Ella, anything to weigh in on that one?
No, well, actually, I'd want to save all of them, and I would use a pencil, and I would just tease it out and put it in another pot.
So there you go. You got 2 schools of thought. May the strong survive, and let's try to save everybody. He's got 2 choices to try on that one. Okay.
I kind of knew she was going to go there.
Well, yes, that's her style. Anytime we have people call in with questions and they're almost thinking, should I rip this out? Ella's always like, no, let's try this first. Okay. Let's see. Connie writes in, this is kind of what you were talking about earlier about the cold weather. So we have another Facebook question. So let's just lump this all into one. Christy writes in, Christy Pyatt, should I wrap my apple trees tomorrow night with the predicted cold? And then Connie says, please remind people in the Chicago area, it's going to get very cold Thursday and Friday nights. Cover your plants, bring in the pots, that kind of thing. So what advice do you have for everybody out there with the cold snap that's coming through? And I know it's kind of hard because we've got viewers all over the place, but what are some general guidelines that you guys could offer?
Well, I would cover some of the more sensitive stuff, especially if you put out.
First thing is to find out the low temperatures and for. Go ahead, Kelly.
No.
Okay. Well, anyway, our low temperature is going to possibly be 29, and that's going to be like 5 in the morning. So I'm hoping that's not the case, but anything that's tender, like annuals, would need to be brought inside or covered, somehow protected. Apple trees, I don't think that that's going to affect it too much. Most of the apples have already flowered. They're probably pollinated.
Okay,
so the fruit will be forming loose if you okay.
Sorry.
No, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Kelly.
Sorry about that, Ella. I'm going to cover my stuff, and I've actually covered it tonight, but I don't think it's going to get that cold tonight here in Bloomington. It's going to get cold tomorrow night. Just do it, earlier in the day, so you're getting that heat trapped in rather than after the sun has gone down and it's already colder. It'll actually help it a little bit more. So that's the only addition that I can add. And yes, I've actually, I put out my dragon wing begonias because I wanted to demonstrate an eye pollinate garden, and they got nipped by the cold a little bit. There's some new growth coming up, but I'm definitely covering everything from now on.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's see. Rebecca Johnston writes in, would you recommend a tree to plant in my yard that has white bark? The yard has a slope to the street. We live in Decatur. So they want a white bark that can handle a slope.
Well, that's a birch, don't you think, Kelly?
Or doesn't the Japanese Stewardia have multicolored bark?
If you could find one.
Yeah. Okay.
Good luck with that. Okay.
Yeah.
So really, the white bark birch would be the best. You can get them in a clump form or as a single trunk specimen, and she could plant any tree on the slope, I'm sure. And maybe she'd rather have a tree with white flowers. There's a way bigger selection.
Okay. All right. So I have a couple show and tells, and I wanted some advice from you guys. So the first one is, I got this was delivered today. It's a Supertunia that I bought for a fundraiser. Do you ladies, when you buy a hanging basket, do you ever deconstruct them and do other stuff with them, or do you just hang them up and leave them? Or, I know people that get them home and immediately break them out of the pots and do other stuff. So do you leave them, or do you break them up?
I never break them up because I'm a greenhouse grower, or was a greenhouse grower, and it took me 12 weeks to grow that and to get a good formed root ball for you. So when you're breaking them up, you're definitely stressing the plant out.
Okay.
Other than if you would buy them in individual pots. So that's just me. It's just because, I was the one in the greenhouse that grew that basket.
You've been on the other side of this.
And closely monitored your roots. And so I personally wouldn't do it. I would rather buy individual pots and not put the plants through so much stress.
Okay. Ella, question for you. What is the biggest mistake people make with their hanging baskets at home?
They hang them too high up. You should get the little S hooks so that they hang lower so they get more available light.
Okay. Good advice. All right. So if you were watching a couple weeks ago, you saw where I talked about Ella gave me a baggie of seeds in the wintertime. They were hostas. I lost my train of thought for a second. So here they are. I have probably 30 of these little guys, these little hostas, grew them all from seed. Is the old adage, how many true leaves, or what do you guys think about when to plant your hostas out? Do you go by leaves? Do you go by temperature? Do you go by size? What's your choice here?
I wouldn't plant them until you have a full root ball.
Okay.
Right. You could
Roots
knock
have
them
full
out of
root.
the pot.
To check the root ball, I'm gonna guess.
The roots, but yeah, yeah, they leave them in the pots for the whole season.
Really? Well,
Yeah, and then
I probably
and then
have to do
you can
something
plant
with
them.
that.
Yeah, well, you'll up pot them, but you
Mhm.
can move them up. And once they've, looks more like a plant, you could
Mhm.
plant it out. But I grew them all summer, and then I planted them in the fall, and they came up this spring. They look real nice.
Really? Okay. Well, I'll maybe that's an idea then, keeping them in these pots all summer, or in pots all summer, and maybe putting them in the fall. And the last one. Oh, go ahead, Kelly.
It may take that long for you to get a really nice root ball.
Okay. And then this was a little baby. If you guys were watching this show, this is when we were still in the studio. I want to say February, maybe. Kelly gave me a little piece, and this thing was tiny, tiny when she gave it to me. And so trucking along. So I teased them both before the show that I had their grandchildren safe and sound here at the house growing. But you know how plant people are. You break one off and it lives forever because you keep giving it away. So let's go back to our questions. Let's see if we've got any more.
You didn't identify the plant, Tanisha. That was
I'm sorry.
That was Chinese money plant. That was my trendy house plants on Instagram episode.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
It's super trendy plant, and it's so cool.
I can't believe I forgot to say the name because you complimented me on knowing the scientific one and I didn't even use it. Jeez. All right. Let's see. We talked about the white bark and we talked about the grass seed. I do have another question that I printed out. This is from Betty in Metamora with a question about oak tree worms. Calling about an oak tree I have in my front yard. It's been dying for the past several years. It started with dropping acorns early, a couple of years ago, but it's been shedding tips of limbs for a few years now. Haven't been able to find out what's wrong with it. And they found some very small worms in the node of the limb that were eating away at it. So she wants to know if the tree is a lost cause or if there's any way to save it. First of all, what worms, Kelly, I know this is right up your alley. What worms would like to get into oak trees?
It is kind of right up my alley, but I just cannot think of what worm is in there. It could be some kind of borer that lays its eggs underneath the bark, and then the larvae eat the cambium. Not completely sure what to say which worm it is. Maybe Ella has had more experience with this. But I would think that if you could take a picture of the worm and send it to me, I could definitely probably identify it and do some more research. But I'm stumped on this question. Sorry, Ella.
Well, I would say that this is not her problem, not the primary problem. There are 3 reasons why twigs fall out of the trees on the ground. One is a twig girdler, and it is a beetle larva that weakens because it feeds right on the little twigs under the bark, like Kelly said, and then in a strong wind, it snaps off. But also squirrels, especially towards fall, and at different times of the year, they're going to be biting through and dropping branches because oak leaves dry really nice and they use them to make their nests. And then, of course, there's the perennial.
We had such a good run. We had such a good run.
And
I think killing as well.
Okay.
What was the third thing you said, Ella?
The cicadas. The perennial cicada, the 17-year cycle one, when they are all over a tree, they can cause a lot of flagging and dropping of branches. But if she said she had a lot of acorns and such, the tree is probably under stress. That's making it more attractive to insects, and she should probably have a professional. The first thing she could start to do is maybe fertilize, and just see what happens this year with watering during periods of drought.
Okay. All right. Hallie Besner writes in, my friend just put in an order for some jumbo Shirley Temple peonies from Holland about a month ago. And they got an email today saying that there is an industry-wide shortage. Any ideas on where to find some, and will that shortage continue? Have you guys heard about this? Is there a peony shortage out there?
Haven't heard that.
Really?
I mean, I think in the spring, those choice cultivars or those choice seed that people want goes really quickly. And, you know, when it comes June, you can't find what you're looking for. But no, I haven't heard anything either.
Wow. Okay. Just as more of a comment than it is a question, Kristen writes in, she loves hostas, but says her dog always kills them before they take root. Any tips there for her?
Well, dogs are kind
Get
of
rid of the dogs? No.
A physical barrier. What I use a lot of times for rabbits, and I think it would work for dogs, is like the upturned wire hanging basket. You can put that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I know exactly what she's talking about. Just put one over the little baby hosta.
Or chicken wire, something like that. So yeah.
That's a really good idea. And I like that too. I'm into functional. Like, what do I have laying around here that I could just grab and put it right over there?
Absolutely.
Like all the milk jugs that I have outside currently.
There you go.
I'm trying to look. I don't see any other questions that have come in right just this second. What else do you guys have going on? Have you planted anything out? What's going on in your neck of the woods, garden-wise?
Well, I've planted cilantro and onions and spinach and peas and parsley. Just, you know, planted all those cool season crops in I have really large pots at the end of my driveway, which is where I get the most sun. That's what I'm doing right now, is growing some cool season crops.
All right, Ella, what have you got going on? Have you put anything in yet?
I have a garden with the cool season vegetables like Kelly talked about. I have kale and Swiss chard, and I planted peas, potatoes, onions. I have garlic, and, you know, I haven't really done any flower gardening yet, but what I have done is cleaned up and divided some of my different perennials and moved them around. So that's kind of what I was doing, since, you know, plant shopping wasn't really easy, but now I'm gonna, you know, go hog wild.
Go crazy. All right, let's see. Oh, we have another one. I'm gonna butcher this name, and I'm sorry. Any tips for pruning Spiraea? Spiraea, did I say it right?
That's perfect.
Oh, okay. See, I just got to go with it. So any tips for pruning it, and what time of year should you do it?
Yes. Well, Spiraea bloom either in the spring, like the bridal wreath Spiraea, or they're summer bloomers, like many of the Spiraea are. So you have to know which one you have. If it blooms in the summer, you can cut it back to any size now. If it blooms in the spring, you have to wait until after it's done flowering.
Okay, great.
And that's a good general rule for a lot of shrubs. If it blooms in the spring, you cut it back after it blooms. And if it blooms in the summer, you do it in early spring.
Wait a minute, say that one more time.
That
was good.
That's right.
If it blooms in the summer, you can cut it back now in early spring.
Okay.
Blooms in the spring, you cut it back after it blooms.
Got it.
And it's just because a lot of shrubs flower on old wood. So
Mhm.
it has a period of time that wood for it to form those flower buds, which
Gotcha.
is why you don't want to just prune anytime. You want to make sure you're pruning at the proper time, or you'll miss out on flowers.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay, that's good advice. Dwayne Goodwin wants to know when the best time to grow poppies is. Somebody's not happy.
I know, I'm sorry.
We'll wrap it up because mommy duties come first. So poppies, when's the best time?
Plant them now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure, Ella is selling them at Hares, right?
Yeah. Yeah. We
Somebody's getting so tired.
Hey, mommy duties come first. We lost Ella on the poppies. Your video froze on us.
oh,
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's.
sorry about
We didn't hear what you said, Ella. Can you re-say that?
Yeah, repeat it.
You can plant poppies from seed. I think they do need to have a chilling period, but most people plant poppies from plants, from transplants, and those are available in pots all summer long. But most of the time, poppy seed is seeded in the fall to go over the winter with the chilling, period of chilling.
Okay. Okay. I don't have any other questions. I'm just checking Facebook real quick one more time before we get out. And before we close, Kelly, if you want to tell folks where they can find you, you've got your own blog and, internet thing going on. So if you want to do that, share with folks while I'm checking for questions.
I would love to. Yes, I write a blog called Flowers, Fruits, and Frass, because flowers, fruits, and insect poop just doesn't quite have the alliteration going on. I also have a Facebook called Mid-Illinois Master Gardener, and all you'd have to do is search Mid-Illinois Master Gardener. And right now we are doing a backyard garden challenge where we're posting daily on different challenges you can do in the backyard, connecting you to your green space and nature and growing vegetables.
Awesome. I got so tickled because Karen wrote in and said, Ella, did your daughter help you with technology? And I thought that was so hilarious because one, you never see one without the other, where you see Karen, you see Ella.
I don't do this.
She had to razz you. So anywho, thank you so much for being a good sport. I really appreciate it. Kelly, get to that, baby.
Yes.
Everyone out there, thank you so much for watching. I'm having a blast doing these. I hope you guys enjoy watching them. Please continue to send us your questions and call, and we'll be here to do these shows as long as you need us to. So thanks again for watching, and good night.